Hey, Nan, talk to Ann later.
Yeah,
Have you talked to Ann?
I
Naylor?
have, but Matt, you
Yeah.
got a bunch of people listening on
Oh,
the.
all right, then forget it.
Okay, I think that's
Okay.
everybody who's coming. You're all
Brett.
muted. I don't know.
Brendan, before you open the meeting, Shane just sent an OEM update. Who's going to give that?
Matt, right?
Matt?
Guy, if you have it up, you can give
Matt,
it
you're muted.
All right.
easier.
I just received, she's funny. That part of her charm. She sends it just as the meeting begins.
Yeah, no, if you want to do it, be my guest. If you have it open, it's just easier that way.
Yeah, because you have the DPW, right?
Yeah, there's nothing really to report, but go ahead. You're not
All
stepping.
right.
All right, we're ready. Megan?
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, Nancy, are you recording?
Now I am.
Okay. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting, specifically the date, time, and public information were included in the meeting that was electronically sent to the Echo Sentinel and posted on the Township website. The agenda and public handouts for the meeting can be viewed online at www.longhillnj.gov. A public comment period will be held in the order as listed on the meeting agenda. When the mayor opens the public comment portion, if you're using a computer and would like to add a public comment, please raise your hand. To raise your hand, click on the participants button on the bar located on the bottom of your screen. Once the bar pops up, scroll to the right and there will be an option to quote, raise hands. If you're dialing in and would like to make a public comment, press *9 when the mayor opens up the public comment.
Thanks, Megan. I will now call the regular session of the June 10th, 2020 Long Hill Township Committee to order. And if everyone could join me and in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the
flag
flag
of
of
the
the United States of
United States of
America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, and justice for all.
Megan, if you could take the roll, please.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Here.
Committeeman Schuler will not be joining us. Committeeman Berleza? Can you
Muted.
You're muted, Vic.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Pasurchia?
Present.
Mayor Ray?
Present. So thank you. Before I get into the meeting itself, I'd just like to make a brief statement. Chief Naga and I have been asked on a number of occasions over the last few weeks to make a statement condemning the death of George Floyd at the hands of police officers in Minneapolis on May 25th, and to comment on the protests that have swept the country and the world in the weeks since. And so mere words really can't adequately condemn what happened in Minneapolis. The fact that a police officer sworn to uphold the law and protect the public was responsible, while 3 of his fellow officers looked on as George Floyd died, made the event all the more egregious and reprehensible. And in truth, I couldn't watch the entire video of this event. So protests, which have been both peaceful and violent, have rocked major cities here in the United States and have also spread across the country to even small communities like here in Long Hill. People far across the world have even joined in. And for the first time in my lifetime, at least, it feels like there is a palpable world movement dedicated to equality and social justice for all, regardless of race, color, or creed. I look at what's happening and think maybe this is our one shot at a new world order, achieving a functioning egalitarian society where there's truly liberty and equality for all. So to everyone out there, please don't stop. Please don't be content with hearing neighbors or politicians or companies, both large and small, condemn bias and discrimination in all its insidious forms, and then go right back to propagating the same old system and values that support and encourage and justify it. Channel the outrage you feel into volunteering in your community, engaging with all levels of elected officials, running for office, and actively supporting those businesses that truly represent your vision of what this country and the world should look like. Most of all, use the power that this democracy gave you. Make your presence felt at the ballot box. Make sure you vote. A society free of bias and discrimination will not happen overnight, but at the same time, it's not an unachievable utopia. So I'll give the floor to Chief Naga.
Oh, hang on. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Am I coming through clear?
Yes.
Yes, you are, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor Ray. As the mayor has indicated, our community has been vocal in many ways and in respect has asked for a position statement from the leadership of this township and the police department as it relates to the May 25th, 2020 death of George Floyd. This horrific incident was callous and the outcome was catastrophic. When I was interviewed by the Echo Sentinel back in April 2018 regarding my vision for the police department as I was getting ready to take over after Chief Mazzio, I took a strong position regarding putting labels on a person or a group, and I specifically stated the idea of putting labels or putting people into categories of race, ethnicity, gender, religious preference, or sexual preference is quite ludicrous, to say the least. It's with those labels that we alter our perception and invite prejudice into our thought process. During my swearing-in ceremony in August of 2018, I demanded that the Long Hill Township police officers display integrity, courage, commitment, compassion, humility, restraint, and respect for themselves, their coworkers, their police department, and ultimately Long Hill Township community. We've been proactively working both behind the scenes and in public, keeping true to that commitment and to the law enforcement profession. The officers of the Long Hill Township Police Department log an average of over 2,000 training hours annually. Officers are exposed to de-escalation training throughout their career in many forms. We've continued that de-escalation training. Officers have attended courses specifically dedicated to de-escalation techniques, as well as additional training throughout the year. Escalation is the element of their training. Some of the annual trainings that we incorporate de-escalation include ethics, arrest, search, and seizure, use of force, discriminatory profiling, and situations when you're handling the mentally ill. Additionally, in a historical event for Long Hill Township, Attorney General honored us with his presence at St. Joseph. Our community regarding topics of diversity, immigrants, and trust between the law enforcement community and the residents of the state. Attorney General Grewal has been proactive in this area and has provided guidance that has been adopted by the Long Hill Township Police Department. One of these important mandates is the early warning system.
Chief, I hate to interrupt you, but you're fading in and out.
Sounds like we're going to need new equipment for the police department, Mayor. Where did you start to lose me, or you want me to?
Just when you were talking about Attorney General Grewal.
Okay. I have a feeling Deputy Mayor Brzezicki has something to do with it, but I'll proceed. So, as I was saying, Attorney General Grewal honored us with his presence at the Shrine of St. Joseph back in September. I believe it was September 9th. And spoke to our community regarding topics of diversity, immigrants, and trust between law enforcement and the residents of the state. Attorney General Grewal has been proactive in this area and has provided guidance that we've adopted in the Long Hill Township Police Department. Some of these mandates include an early warning system as a risk management tool to alert police administration for potential demeanor triggers that we closely monitor and we utilize on a day-to-day basis. Under the direction and the guidance of Mayor Ray, we initiated a way out, and we're on the front lines of being stigma-free in Morris County and the state of New Jersey as it relates to opioid addiction. With the support of the governing body, we also purchased body cameras with the basis of accountability and transparency before our residents. We've engaged our residents here, neighboring residents in surrounding towns, inner city youth with various community policing and outreach programs. These are not bragging points, but simply a testament to the commitment, effort, and trust the community has come to expect from the fine men and women of the Long Hill Township Police Department. We will continue to act as professionals and excel to surpass expectations of our community. I was raised with the idea that humans and their mutual kindness, compassion, and sympathy are just like one body. When one of the limbs suffers, the whole body responds to the actions with wakefulness and fever. I'll leave you with some ideas and teachings of Malcolm X, where he stated that perhaps if we could accept the reality of the oneness of man and cease to measure, hinder, and harm others in terms of their differences, that just maybe someday we as humans can have a happy equilibrium, harmony, and live in peace. Thank you for your time. Mayor, that concludes my statement, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Chief Naga. So we move on with the ordinances. This is Ordinance 459-20. It's the second reading and adoption, and it's the calendar year 2020 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. So if there aren't any questions or comments from the committee, I will open the hearing to the public.
And Mayor, both our CFO and our auditor are here on the call if anybody has any questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we see any questions?
I do not.
In that case, I'll entertain a motion to adopt Ordinance 459-20.
I'll moved. I'll do it.
Second.
Okay.
Committeeman Dorsey,
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pasurcia,
Yes.
Mayor Ray.
Yes. Moving on to the resolutions. Would anyone like to discuss resolutions 20-166 or 20-167? And that, if not, I will entertain a motion to approve resolution 20-166 and 20-167 as stated in the agenda.
Oh, I'll second it. Or I'll move it.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey,
Matt, you're on mute.
Oh, yes.
Committeeman Verleza,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pasurcia,
Yes.
Mayor Ray.
Yes. So moving on to Ordinance 460-20. This is on first reading and introduction, and it's revising bulk standards in the RMF zone and amending section 122 of the Township Land Use Ordinance entitled Zone Districts and Use Regulations. And this relates to the property that we've come to call the Ancona property. It's beside the Ancona restaurant. It was a property that was part of the settlement with Fair Share. And in this ordinance, we are granting a variance for height and also for side yard setback. So are there any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve Ordinance 460-20.
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey,
I have to abstain, correct?
Yes.
Yes, I abstain.
Committeeman Verleza,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pasurcia,
Yes.
Mayor Ray.
Yes. So this will be considered for final passage and adoption. Public hearing held a meeting beginning at 7:30 on Wednesday, July 15th, 2020. Moving on with Capital Ordinance 461-20. This is the first reading and introduction, providing for various improvements in and by the Township of Long Hill in the County of Morris, New Jersey, and appropriating $1,177,3600 therefore from various funds of the Township. So this is the capital ordinance that we've discussed starting all the way back, I think, in a meeting in January or February this year. Are there any questions or comments? And Nancy, this results this will not result in the township borrowing any money. Is that right?
Correct. I think you said it's 461,000. I mean 600 and I don't have the number in front of me. Do you have it? 600. It's I'm gonna say approximately $650,000 in
Surplus.
No, in projects for the in our actual projects that we're doing for the DPW and police and recreation, and we're not borrowing. We're not incurring any new debt for this.
Okay.
The rest of that sum that you did read is made up of grants. We have grants for roads.
Okay. So if there aren't any questions or comments, I will entertain a motion to approve ordinance 461-20.
So moved.
I'll second.
Sorry, my internet cut out for a second. Who made the motion?
Guy.
And who second?
Me.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Correct.
Committeeman Verleza?
Vic?
I didn't hear anything. Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pastocia?
Yes.
Mayor Ray?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could just interrupt you for 1 second. I just got a message from our CFO. He said that we did not have a public hearing on the budget. Megan, is there a public hearing in here somewhere?
No, it should have been after the resolution. I apologize.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So we can go back and
Yeah, you're gonna have to reopen that and
Yes, and
open it up
re-adopt the
to public.
resolution.
I
okay.
apologize.
All right. So we go back and we did want. So we're going to re-adopt resolutions 20-166 and 20-167, right, Jack?
No, just 167.
Just 16. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
167.
166 didn't require a public hearing.
Right. Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to.
No, you have to open it up for a public hearing.
Yes,
Oh, before I do that.
yes.
Okay. All right then. And I'll open up to the public for discussion of resolution 20-167.
It's on the budget itself. Any comments on the budget?
Yeah.
So Megan, can you give the
Raise your hand.
instructions? Oh, here's one. Okay.
Yeah, Dennis.
Dennis. Go ahead, Dennis.
When there was discussion about 2 months ago about extra funding for the library, I have not looked at the budget to see if that extra funding was provided or not.
That there is the extra funding is in the budget, Dennis. I think it's how is it, Nancy? It was 70,000. Is that correct?
Right. Plus, in addition, there was 20,000 or so for a new HVAC system for them.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Are there any other questions, Megan?
Nobody's raised their hand.
Yep.
For the person who's called in, they would have to press star
9.
9 on their phone. I don't see any other questions.
No.
Okay. Then I'll close the public hearing. And if there are no questions or comments from the committee, I will entertain a motion to readopt Resolution 20-167.
Guy, so moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey,
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pasurcia,
Yes.
Mayor Ray.
Yes. Moving on to the consent agenda resolutions. Would anyone like to pull a resolution to discuss it?
Mayor, if we can just discuss resolution 175, you can leave it in the consent agenda, but we got an email from Mr. Sandow raising several points that I think should be considered. One point was the resolution as written applies to all the commercial zones, and he pointed out that there are some affected businesses not in the commercial zones, 2 landscape garden supply businesses and 2 farm stands. So I think we could add to the scope of that any business outside, existing business outside the commercial zones that has either a variance or is a non-conforming use can also take advantage of the resolution. So if that's okay, we can add that into the resolution.
Yep.
Okay.
The second one was, and I don't think we need to make any change for this, that the ordinance requires the sidewalk sale permit from the clerk, but I think the language of this makes it clear it's whoever is designated to grant them. And that was his third point, was that the resolution as written requires approval of the zoning officer, the police chief, and the fire official in consultation with the health officer. And he said this sounds a bit onerous and suggested that just one person be allowed to grant that. But I don't know that you want to do that. That's up to you.
So I mean, right now we have 3 people to give
Yes.
the.
We have the chief, the fire official, and the zoning officer, and they've already worked together and set up an application, permit application, and everything. So I don't think they expressed any problem with working together.
Yeah.
We can just do it by telephone.
Yeah, certainly. I've been working with them, and there doesn't seem to be any problem there because they've actually communicate fairly regularly. So I'm okay on that. I don't know how everybody else feels.
Yeah, that seems reasonable to me, Mayor.
Okay, thanks, Guy. So
the only difference is the ordinance will be revised. You can leave it in the consent agenda. It would just apply to legal businesses that may be outside the commercial zones.
Okay.
okay.
So,
Okay,
okay, I'm sorry, Mayor.
no, go on, Guy.
Well, I was going to move to
Oh.
consent, but I didn't know if somebody else was going to speak there. Sorry.
So you're going to move
166 to 178 with the amendment as outlined by Mr. Pigeon.
for 20-175.
That's right. That's correct.
And thank you to Dennis for bringing those points up.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey,
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pasurcia,
Yes.
Mayor Ray.
Yes. So moving on to the liaison reports. Matt?
Yes. Guy will do the OEM report, but as for the DPW, they just completed the second round of street sweeping today. They're working on repairing all the catch basins that are scheduled to get paved this summer. Obviously, they're doing lawn maintenance and roadside vegetation. They're trimming that back. And next week, now that school's over, they will be out striping the crosswalks. So good job to keep up the good work.
Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
Guy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of, I always like to throw a shout out to the first aid squad for the outstanding job they always do. But this week in particular, I want to mention Rich Pateman. He's a longtime member of the first aid squad. He's contributed a tremendous amount of time to the residents and the community of Long Hill Township. He's held multiple positions on the executive board during his 10 years. So on behalf of the Township Committee and the residents of Long Hill, I want to wish Rich Pateman and his wife the best. They are moving. I don't want to be too specific. That's their privacy. But they're moving, so we just want to wish them Godspeed. Secondly, I wanted to say, and obviously the committee knows this, but the residents don't. The BPU unanimously approved the sale of the wastewater system, also known as the sewer system. So in just a few short months, Long Hill Township will be debt-free. It's been a long road going back to, I think when we first started reducing the overall debt back in 2010, 11, 12, 13, and all the way. So thanks to all of the committees going back to then. And what will happen is once the system closes and the check clears, Long Hill Township will be debt-free. We'll come up with something, I don't know, like a mortgage burning or however that works, maybe a parade or something of that sort. Now, the OEM report, I apologize. I ran out of time today, so I didn't get a chance to review and perhaps edit. So I'm going to read it, and I want to thank Shane Daly for putting this report together. She and her team do an outstanding job. So here we go. The Long Hill Township Medical Reserve Corps, the nurse volunteers continue to be deployed, providing manpower for the County Office of Health Management. Township employees and CERT volunteers, their efforts in calling seniors has been remarkable. I know, Mr. Mayor, and I think Nancy, you have received a lot of calls thanking your staff for doing so, and Megan as well, of course. A shout out to Kristen Oleski and her teams of community volunteers. I think it's going on 3 months. They're still providing shopping support, which that's an effort and a sacrifice. So thank you to Kristen. Testing, the update on our Morris County COVID testing site at the county college. The drive-through center in Randolph is open to all residents who want a nasal swab test without prescription and whether or not they are experiencing COVID-19 symptoms. So for those who don't know, it's at the County College of Morris in Randolph. You can look up the address. Time starts at 9 a.m. You need an appointment. So to register for your appointment, you go to the COVID page and County Public Health site. And Nancy, I apologize. That's even confusing me. So I don't know where that site would be. So if we can put something on the Long Hill website, or is it already there?
Well, we have a COVID page. So if you click on the COVID page, there's a lot of information in there. So it's got to be there.
All right, because that's how they will have, you need an appointment, just not a prescription. And the prescription, no prescription makes it a lot simpler. The county notified us that MAPS has resumed transportation services this week. Long Hill residents who use this service should schedule appointments and request ride services. Food pantry donations. Food insecurity is a growing concern for families in our community. Please consider picking up some extra items at the next trip to the grocery store. Collection points are All Saints and St. Vincent's churches. FEMA, as always, Shane and her team stay on top of this. You have to have documentation of any expenses that you incur in order to get reimbursed. The cost share is 75% local, 75% FEMA, 25% local. To date, we're up to about $140,000 in expenses. And this, of course, includes the UV device machines that were purchased early on for, I think, about $16,000. That was a very, very good recommendation on the part of the mayor, because now it would appear we're going to receive 75% of that, so $12,000 in reimbursement. Our public, and this is last, our public health officer, Lucy Forgione, COVID-19 numbers are down across the county. Long Hill Township are 44, total 44 cases, no fatalities. And I want to circle back to that in a second. Restaurant businesses have all been mailed with the Governor Murphy's reopening guidance. There's something about Chapter 24, but I don't think that is something any of us need to understand. Residents are reminded, and I think, Nancy, you just referenced this, on the Long Hill Township website, the COVID-19 page, there's a ton of information and updates regarding township programs and services. My last comment, I want to publicly thank Mayor Ray. One of the reasons, if not the primary reason why the number of cases in Long Hill Township is essentially the lowest per capita in the county, I don't have the numbers for the state in front of me, is because Mayor Ray, from the outset, had gotten in front of this, even at the time with a little bit of opposition. And it was at Brendan's guidance that we purchased the 4 UV machines. It was at Brendan's guidance that we were ahead of the curve in shutting down active recreation in our parks. The county and the state followed a couple of days later. So Long Hill Township was actually in front of this. So Mayor Ray, I thank you for your service to the community.
Well, thanks, Guy. I'm not used to hearing words like that from you.
Well, your phone just beeped. I heard it, and I sent my true feelings. That's by text.
So thank you, Guy, and
You're welcome, Brendan.
Vic, how about you?
All right. I'm going to report on rec. We're going to start with youth sports. Practice for certain sports can begin with restrictions on June 22nd. Requests for field times are being processed at this time. Please take a look at the website, the rec website, to know what teams are looking to start practice and what exactly the restrictions are. Sterling Lake, scheduled to open July 4th, also with restrictions. Please visit the website regarding passes, what type of passes will be available, exactly what restrictions are going to be in play. It's extensive. Don't just show up. Take a look at the website first. There's significant restrictions, but I do believe that everybody's going to still be able to have a good time. Unfortunately, rec is not recommending beach volleyball, nor the usual beach volleyball clinics. It is impossible to accomplish this with the restrictions, one being that the ball must be disinfected after everyone touches it. So we're doing our best, but sometimes the restrictions are impossible to work through. As far as rec day camp, the state will allow us to open as of July 6th, also with restrictions. We will be submitting applications to the state by June 15th. Hopefully everything goes well, and we'll be able to offer the camp with restrictions on July 6th. We are anticipating offering alternative camp outdoors at Cantor for July 6th in the mornings for Long Hill residents entering grades 1 through 5 by fall 2020. More details to follow regarding the guidelines. And unfortunately, Camford Pre-K will not be available this year due to the significant restrictions and guidelines. And any questions or concerns regarding rec, the use of the fields, Sterling Lake, or day camp, please visit the website. Details far better than the details I just gave you in my brief will all be available on the website. Thank you.
Thank you, Vic. Just very quickly for the police liaison report. Self-initiated activity and calls for service year to date, we're up at 6,567. We have 614 motor vehicle stops to date. With community policing and proactive residential radar posts, we're at 567. And the arrests, we've seen an uptick with 15 miscreants have been apprehended in. 20 have been apprehended in 15 arrest incidents, and so we've been getting some 2-for-1s recently. So that's it for the police liaison report. So Nancy, if you'd like to give the administrator's report.
Nancy, before you start, I just wanted to set the record straight for one thing. Despite what a lot of people are hearing on the streets, Mayor Ray was not, and I'll repeat, not one of those miscreants.
Okay, ready? Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to announce that the Oaks Road paving project has begun. The contractor has begun the preliminary work, removing trees and putting up safety barriers. And work is ongoing, and the drainage work and eventually the paving will take place over the next several weeks. We're estimating 4 to 6 weeks until the project is done. And I wanted to get your input on this for all of you, because the governor announced yesterday that he increased the number of people permitted at outdoor gatherings to 100, then increasing it to 250 on June 22nd and ultimately 500 on July 3rd. We would have the ability to hold our outdoor concert series. So the rec director has sent me the schedule she had planned earlier this year. And if you give the go ahead with it, then she's going to need to start putting it into action right away to get sound equipment and things like that. The first concert would be on June 26th, and there would be 5 concerts after that, with the last one on September 12th. All of the concerts would be held at Cantor Park on the grass field, and the attendees would be required to social distance, bring their own blankets and chairs, and face covers would be highly recommended. Residents would have to register on Community Pass for the tickets, although they're free. The tickets would be on Community Pass, so they could limit the number based on whatever the gathering limit would be at the time. So I wanted to know if you wanted to talk about that, if you had objections, if you thought we should go ahead with it.
I think it's I know we had a lot of we had discussions around the around that summer concert series, and we were kicking around some ideas, but it seems that the governor's come to a rescue here. And I think with the appropriate social distancing in place, I certainly welcome our ability to hold the summer concert series as we planned. And Matt, Guy, Vic, any?
100% support.
I have no problem with it.
Me too. I support it 110%.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you.
So with that, move on to discussion items. The first one may have been preempted by Vic's report there, but we're talking about opening up Sterling Lake, and I think our rec director had recommended opening the lake on July 4th for the July 4th holiday, and keeping it moving all the way through Labor Day. And I think with the governor's latest openings, it seems certainly that it's something that's feasible as long as we can maintain the current restrictions on numbers and also social distancing. So I throw it open for your thoughts on the lake.
Well, Mr. Mayor, as you know, I support that. We discussed this probably, I don't know, 3 meetings back, the possibility. We planned for this well, when I say we talked about it. Lisa and her team are the ones that have to plan for it. My only concern is a lot's going to come through the rec department in very rapid fire right now because a lot of things are reopening. So I don't know what kind of support we can give Lisa during at least the ramp up to reopening the park, scheduling stuff, etc. Lisa's not one to ask for help, so perhaps we can reach out to her and see if she has what she needs in terms of resources.
Sure, I mean, I absolutely agree. There's a lot going on in rec, and a lot's coming our way. A lot's coming, towards that department right now. But Nancy, I think you and Lisa have.
We talk once in a while.
Yeah, you're in fairly close contact, and I think, and I've been included on some of those conversations along the way. But I think Lisa feels that she has it under control with the support from the rest of town hall there. But certainly, I'm sure she's listening. I agree with the guy. Yeah, I mean, anything that she needs, we should provide, because there is a lot going on right now for that department, as you said.
And we know the pent up whatever cabin fever that's in this town. I'm sure they're going to be running, swimming, jumping, whatever is necessary to release all that frustration for the last 3 months.
Yeah,
this is a wonderful thing for the residents. So, and Nancy, thank you for staying in touch with Lisa.
and so Matt and Vic, Yep.
I'm fine with it. As long as the state says it's okay, I'm sure Lisa's on top of it.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
There are Department of Health guidelines that she's kept on top of. They put out specific camp guidelines, and they put out public bathing guidelines. So she's on top of those as well.
Yeah. And there's one kind of related question, and that is, would we consider the seasonal membership as we've always done, or do it mainly on the day passes? And I think the recommendation from Lisa is that we would maintain we would have seasonal passes, a prorated price, because we already okayed the price back in January, whenever there was in that different world that we lived in back then. So it would be prorated for July 4th to Labor Day. And I'd also I've been getting a lot of emails on the lake, and on this subject in particular. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to send me those and let me know how they feel. And so I think we're making the right decision and moving forward with the seasonal pass. And there will still be the limited ability for day passes, but it would mainly be done through the seasonal passes we've always done.
Mayor, do we have Jack? Do we have to do a resolution changing the fees?
I would say so.
Here I am. Okay. Yes, since we adopted the resolution setting the fees, we should amend that resolution by resolution or motion even. We could do it. But we'll need to know what the day pass fees are going to be and, you know, how many you want to grant things. So we should probably do it at the next meeting.
I'll work with Lisa and have her take a look at the one that was already approved, and we can amend it on the 24th.
Yes.
So can we sell them at the prorated price before then?
Yes, the seasonal passes, we can certainly start selling now, and maybe just by motion say that the fee previously set should be prorated to reflect the delayed opening date.
Okay, very good. So we can do that at the next meeting.
Or you could do that tonight if you wanted people. I don't know whether people are going to want to start buying passes. So if you did that tonight, it would just delay the day passes, and they're not going to be come into play anyway.
Okay. Nancy, could we, if Lisa's here,
Yeah,
just so we haven't misspoken here,
Yeah, and maybe she can give you the
price.
amount. Yeah. Lisa, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
So we just, I mean, you probably heard, I mean, we were talking about the cost of the seasonal pass, and we could do it on motion tonight just to make sure that you're okay to begin selling them whenever you want to.
Yeah, basically what I sent you was the August 1st through Labor Day pricing, which you had already approved, and I just put it into effect starting July 4th. As long as you approve that schedule of fees, then we're good to go.
Okay. So the schedule of fees that were in the email.
Yes.
So Jack, do we need to read them?
No, I think we could just adopt the recommendation of the recreation director saying that the fees for the entire shortened season will be the fees previously set to cover the period from August 1st through Labor Day.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So I will move that we open up the selling of half-season passes as identified.
But they'll be good starting July 4th when the
Correct.
lake opens.
I'll second.
Committeeman Dorsey,
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia,
Yes.
Mayor Ray.
Yes. Thanks, Lisa. Is there Lisa, in the conversation, in the discussion, did we miss anything?
No, I think you captured it all. We're good.
Okay, great. Thanks,
Thank
Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Moving on, the next topic is grant writers. So Nancy, if you'd like to discuss that.
Yes, as you recall, I think it was even earlier this year or late last year, we had a grant writer who we weren't getting a lot of information from, so we decided to cut ties with them. But recently, we were contacted by another grant writing company, and the mayor and I met with them. They're called Millennium Strategies, and their approach seemed completely different than the company who we had just had. They have a portal system where they list all the grants that they come across, federal, state, and philanthropic, and they would give us access to the portal system so we could look through. I could have, department heads, employees look through and see what grants would apply to them and their departments. And then if we think that we'd be eligible for it, we would ask them if they would do the application. And if we chose to go ahead with it, then they have there's a charge for the portal, and then there's a charge for the an hourly rate for them to write the grants. I sent you some information. I put some information in your packet about the company. So far, they have gotten $700 million in grants over the last 15 years. And last year they received, or their clients received 49% of the grants they applied for, and the average award was $185,000. In looking through the portal, I found a grant opportunity for tennis-related capital projects, and I know we're doing work this year on our tennis courts. The cost would be $8,000 a year for access to the portal, and then the hourly rate would be $130 an hour if they were going to apply for any grants. It typically takes about 10 to 20 hours per grant. So we have, they gave us 30-day free access to the portal, so we could spend our time looking through. I could share it with department heads if you'd like, and I know that I passed along the password and login to all of you earlier. So if you want to go on the portal and take a look, and then after 30 days, if you want to decide if we'd like to hire them, then we could do that.
Yeah.
So Mayor, did you have anything to add about that, about our meeting with them?
No, I've sat in on a couple of these meetings over the years with you, Nancy, and I was really quite impressed by the responsiveness of that group. They seem to do a very good job, and the portal is I think that's a it's kind of half the battle getting to know about all these grants, and so having a central database where our department heads can scan it. I mean, very often we've had a tradition of writing our own grants. So there's also the ability with this company that they'll take over all of the writing, or they could even do a review at the end of it. So this is a very good. I thought it's a very good opportunity.
So are you okay with me sharing the that portal with the department heads, and they could see if there's something that appeals to them, or at least take a look? It'll be interesting to see how many things they find that they think that we could get.
Yeah.
Because I think that's kind of a key. If it's a portal filled with things that we're not interested in, then there's really no point. But like I said, just today, just flipping through it, I saw something for the tennis courts. So just because it's there doesn't mean a guarantee that we're going to get the grant, but at least there's identifying them is 3/4 of the battle usually.
Yeah.
So.
And I think they'll also spend time, and it's something that they don't charge for, where they kind of walk you through, where you are, the demographics of your town, and kind of handicap whether it's worth your while applying for it as well.
Yeah, and I think you and I have met with some grant writers before who, they tell you one thing, and then when you actually come down to it, they're like, oh, your town is too wealthy, you don't qualify for this, you don't qualify for that. So these people seem to be very upfront about that, and very familiar with it. So I was, as you said, they were different and they were impressive. So I think it's worth taking a shot. And right now we have 30 days free, so we can revisit it at the end of those 30 days.
Okay, great. If everybody's in agreement. Okay, very good. So that allows us to move on to our favorite topic that comes up every 5 years, and that's the garbage contract. So we're starting it here in the middle, coming up to the middle of June, and we might hopefully that'll be enough time for us to fully discuss it and make a decision. So Nancy, with that, I'll turn it over to you. I know you've been working on this.
Yeah. So we have three major options. The first is to bring collection in-house and have the DPW do it. If you're interested in this, and Committeeman Schuler is not on the call today, but I know he has expressed interest before. If the majority of you are interested in it, I will do the research, but I just want you to keep in mind that first of all, it looks like we would need 2 trucks, and it's very unlikely that we get them in time for January at this point. Number two, we would probably need somewhere between 2 to 4 additional employees. And that's probably because I know we only have one person who goes around and does collection now, but it's recommended that there be 2, and then we need backups from when they're on vacation or when they're sick. I did speak with our risk manager and our workers' comp representative, and they do not recommend it due to the high injury rate for trash collectors and the cost of the associated injuries. And the risk manager has said that the towns who he works with have done just the opposite, who have gone from DPW collection to private collection, have actually had a 40 to 60% drop in their workers' comp claims year over year. And primarily that's because the types of claims that come in when you have garbage collection is they're the very expensive ones, like disc injuries, shoulder and knee ligament tears. I know that the person who currently we have under contract was telling me that he had a person with a shoulder injury, and it was like $150,000 cost in workers' comp and medical. So it can really add up. So I'd ask you to consider those things if you're going to consider asking DPW to do trash collection.
Actually, whenever you were mentioning all of those injuries, I saw Vic's ears kind of prick up. But you know, I mean, I do believe that's a real concern with that, with pursuing that option, as well as just the number of trucks that we'd have to buy and their availability. I believe there's more of a lead time on them. But Guy and Matt and Vic, any interest in the do-it-yourself option?
Oh. I have zero interest in it.
Thanks, Matt.
I'll go the opposite of what Vic did to me when I said 100% and he had to go 110%. So I have less than zero interest.
Vic, I mean, despite all those injuries, you're interested, Vic?
You know, those injuries made it compelling for my business, right? No, I took a look at it, looked at the costs. You know, unfortunately, I just don't think it's a feasible option. In the end, I think it's going to cause more headaches, and there won't really be any cost savings.
Okay, thanks, Vic. So I think Nancy, I think we have a resounding answer no to that one. So
Okay.
Do we have other options?
We do. So now we have 2 other options. One is, another one is to privatize, completely privatize. And the way that would work now is obviously this sum of money would come out of our budget, and you could allocate it to something else, whatever you chose to do with it. And it would come out of people's taxes, presumably. Like you could conceivably, if you spend $1 million on garbage and you chose to privatize that, you would lower taxes by $1 million, presumably. One thing that we can't farm out is recycling, so we would have to still pick up that cost. But the way this would work would be that everybody would be able to contract with their own garbage hauler. And I know that concerns have been raised about, well, there'll be a ton of different vendors riding around town and trucks. And I've spoken to a lot of people about this, and it is my understanding that there are only a few vendors who work in the area. They're not going to come for one customer or 2 customers. You have the certain vendors that only go to certain towns. So I don't think that is a concern. The difficulty, I think, is that when you do the math, I asked the CFO to put together a spreadsheet for what it costs residents now when you figure out, take out recycling and you just have garbage, and you do it based on the equalized value and what it comes down to for the average assessed house. The average assessed house pays about I think it was $380 per house for garbage. From their taxes, $380 of that goes towards garbage. If you assume $30 a year, $30 a month for garbage, it's $360. You know, the cost savings are not really what I would have hoped they were. The one difference that I could look into is I know that there is a way for the municipality to bid out on behalf of the residents. So if we were able to bid out the whole town's garbage collection and the lowest bidder would win, let's say it was $25 a month, then we would contract on behalf of the residents, and then the residents would sign up individually for $25 a month, and it would come out, it would be out of their taxes, but they would pay it individually. So that is the other option to look into.
So Nancy, I mean, we went through this 5 years ago, and you were not here yet, right?
Correct.
Right. So, I mean, we looked at that very option, and at that point, it was far more expensive to go privatized and for the residents to seek out a private company. Number one. Number two, at the time, now it's changed a little because the tax laws have changed. If you keep it as part of the taxes, that part is deductible, or was. That's not kind of the situation these days for most homes in Long Hill Township. So that part doesn't really apply any longer.
Right.
The last part is it's hard to express a strong opinion on this until we have the bid. Right, we can't compare apples to apples here because we don't know what the cost would be to make a fair comparison. So I'm not saying I would never support it, but based on what we experienced 5 years ago, it wasn't even remotely a cost benefit for the residents to do that.
Well, I obviously can't speak to 5 years ago, but it's close. It's close now, and obviously it depends where you are over or under the average taxpayer in town. You know, the average house, $500,000. If you're over that, obviously you're going to save less. If you're under that, you're going to save more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's close for the average household. And while we couldn't know unless we bid it out, we can estimate. I mean, I can't see them getting under $25 a house. I mean, I could be wrong. But I know, for example, I pay $33 a month, and my town doesn't do it. I just pick my individual person, and I pay $33 a month. There are some advantages, you know, to it, because you can, if you wanted your garbage picked up, you know, I have it twice a week. If you wanted it once a week, you could probably work it out with them. They come to the side of my house and pick it up, so I don't have to bring it out, which is good for people who forget to bring the garbage out. So there are some advantages to having a private person that you're paying. You know, so
That last advantage you said about leaving it at the side of your house, one thing I guarantee you cannot do that in Long Hill Township, where Smokey the Bear will find your garbage. So, you know, you don't leave the garbage out in Long Hill. At least I don't.
You can cover it.
Oh no, that didn't help.
Well, anyway, so we should talk about option number 3 before you make up your mind, and that's obviously the what you did 5 years ago, which is bid the service out. And if you do choose to bid it out, then there are several alternatives that I'd like to talk about. I'd like to include, and it's a combination, you know, a lot of different alternatives. The traditional manual collection that you have now, and the automated side loader. And I know that this is pretty controversial 5 years ago, but according to the person we currently have, who, you know, may not even get the bid, but he said that it is definitely more cost effective to do the automated side loader. And going back to what I said before, it also cuts down on injuries for their employees because they don't have to lift the cans. But it cuts down about 20 seconds per pickup. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you multiply it times the number of houses and number of cans, it does add up as efficiency for the hauler. And we would in turn get that money back. We'd realize those savings, the savings that they're realizing. I'd also like to bid a separate, a solid waste and recycling collection like we have now, but then separate solid waste and recycling. Because I know the MUA does recycling and they are on, it's not state contract, but we wouldn't have to bid that out if we did recycling with them. And we already have some figures from them. Al and I met with them. So I think that could be advantageous to us cost-wise. But the other thing that I would like to talk about, and this is the DPW director's suggestion, we would like to limit bulk collection to twice a year and have the DPW pick it up. And the way we would propose it happening right now, every resident can put out 2 items per month for bulk pickup. So we would propose giving each resident each household 24 stickers, because 2 times 12 is 24, and but limited to 2 actual collections. So let's just say spring and fall, they could put out 24 items in the spring or in the fall, or they could split them up however they want. So DPW, the way it would work, DPW would pick it up one week during the year, 2 separate times, and bring it back to the yard where we would have dumpsters that we would rent, and then have it hauled away. And we have estimated this will save you in your contract close to $100,000. So it was Al brought it up as DPW would be willing to do it. They do have the truck that's large enough to go around and collect bulk, and if DPW has the time and they're willing to do it, to save $100,000 seems like an opportunity that'd be hard to pass up.
So Nancy, we would give every resident, every household will get 12 stickers or whatever, and they could basically mix and match over the 24
actually, because they have 2
Ah.
items now per month. So 2 times 12, so that so they wouldn't be losing, so residents would not be losing any of the quantity of what they put out now. The timing would just be different.
Right.
And who picks it up would be different. So, I mean, so what I could do, I could bid it out with bulk and without, making an alternative, and we would see how much it saves. But according to our carrier now, it cost $108,000. That's without tipping fees. It costs $108,000 to do bulk.
Right. So, and I mean, one of the things I've heard from people is that the 2 item limit is problematic because they're clearing out the house, and or they're doing something, and they would like to put out more. I mean, you've got it would be twice a year, but certainly you have the ability to put out up to 24 items at once if you so desire.
Right.
So,
if you're doing spring cleanup in your house and you have a bunch of stuff, you don't have to hold on to it for the whole year.
Right. So I think there's an attractiveness to that, and we know that it's saving us a substantial amount of money, and may actually be something that our residents would feel was a benefit. I don't know how Guy, Vic, Matt, how you're feeling about that.
Oh, Al just sent me a message. He said they discussed 12, not 24. I don't know if he wanted 24.
No, Al, we discussed 24.
Oh, well, either way, I have
12 for the year, but I remember I had my notes because we didn't want people to lose anything. If they have 2 things per month times 12 is 24.
Well, I have no, if the DPW thinks they can handle it, whatever number it is, I'll support that position. And if it's, and I know that I see the tipping fees, or I've seen them in the past, and they're ridiculous. And the other good news is, because one of the positives that came out of COVID-19, where a lot of people clean their houses out now, as you could tell from driving around town. So hopefully the next year they won't have a lot of stuff to clear out because they did it. And I believe people can still bring stuff down to DPW, maybe not right now, but in general, they can still bring stuff down to DPW that doesn't need to get picked up, so it's not going to affect their count.
We'd have to look into that, but.
Well, I mean, for example, if I wanted to bring something down to DPW to get rid of, they have the dumpster down there.
Oh, you mean right now? Yeah, right now.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if they would still do that or not. So Alan and I could talk about the 12 versus 24.
Yeah. I mean, Nancy, I think I would be good with. I mean, at 12, I'm good with that. I think that's that's a reasonable number. That was what I had in my head.
What, Nancy, do you have any issue with going out to bid with both options?
You just said she.
No, that's what I said.
Right. So we don't really have to make that decision
No.
tonight, Brendan. Right?
Okay. All right.
No, not until you get
both.
And to your previous point about the auto loader, as everyone knows, I've been against it for various reasons in the past, and we can certainly see what the conversation is. But Nancy, using my little calculator here, Brendan.
No, you broke out again.
There we go. It's dusted off. It saves about 16 hours a week, and we have what, 5 zones?
5
So
zones.
it would save 3 hours a day per zone. So I don't know what the cost savings. We'll see it in the actual bid, but it seems like it might be a compelling savings. One of the hiccups we had the last time, Nancy, and you're going to want to include that, I think, in the bid. The problem we had, and it came very close to passing the last time, was we were required, every resident was required to take a 96-gallon garbage can. And for me, that just was a deal breaker because seniors don't need that. If we put in that you have to choose a 96, 64, or 65, whatever the next gradation is, and then it goes down and you choose, and that's what's provided at the outset. If you decide to change, that cost would be on the resident. But I think that we need to include in the bid different size cans that people can choose what it is that they want.
But Guy, I mean, we're adding a level of complexity to the bid, right? And maybe even the other part, the actual garbage. I mean, the 95 can is actually quite easy to move, and especially when there's a problem with small children in it, whatever they might climb in it, but no, I mean, seriously, as you saw the last 5 years ago, it's very easy to move even with a small child in there. But if you don't have a lot of garbage in there, I mean, it's incredibly easy.
I just don't want to belabor the point. The real issue wasn't the maneuverability of a 96-gallon can. It was the maneuverability of a 96-gallon can on a hill. And trust me, I know that. And my wife told me if I come home with a 96-gallon garbage can, me and the garbage can are thrown out of the house. So
they're on wheels, though. They're on wheels.
I know. I'm well aware of that. I'm well aware. Look, so we're not going to belabor that
point. It down the hill from your house.
I don't want to beat up this conversation tonight, but I can assure you that will be a topic when we're discussing it. And if you remember, the vote was very close last time. It almost passed. So I think if the option of at least a smaller can, I think it would probably pass this time. But I'm just saying, it's going to come up. If you don't want to complicate the bid, I get it, but it is going to come up.
I thought, I mean, Nancy or Al might be able to comment better, but I thought last time we did the bid, yes, it was the big size, the 96, but then I thought they came back and said they could do the 96 or like a 60 something gallon, if I remember correctly.
So Al is on the call if you want him to talk about it, because obviously I wasn't here, so I don't know what they said. So if you want.
My recollection is they required us from the get-go, and if subsequently somebody decided to change, they would allow it. But from the get-go, the first delivery was going to be all 96 gallons. And Al, correct me if I'm wrong.
So the container doesn't weigh 96 gallons, right?
It's the size, I know.
Okay. Do you want Al to come on the call?
Yeah, please.
Al, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
So, Guy is correct on the initial automated. Everybody would get the same size, and then I think the time frame was 4 months after that. If a senior wanted a smaller one, then they were swapped out because there's a cost to the cans, so they can't buy whatever the amount of cans in 96 and 60. But there is that option. I think he said that a time frame of 4 months to go back if anybody has issues to get them a smaller can. But my personal opinion, I have one here, and I think a few other people do. They're a lot easier than a regular garbage can without wheels, and the cost savings to the contractor would be significant. Plus, us picking up the bulk, it's a lot of money.
Especially considering that recycling is estimated to go up by about $100,000 this year. So, it's something to consider.
Right.
And Al, we can talk about the number. Obviously, before we bid that out, we can talk about the number of items. I misunderstood because I wrote down 24. So,
No, he said. Mommy, please look at
talk about that.
Yeah, we could discuss that.
Cowboy.
Am I still on? I'm sorry, I can't tell.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, we could discuss that. I thought 12 was more than enough, and they could use that 12 stickers, all one shot, or 6 at the first pickup and 6 at the last pickup. But we could decide that number at a later time.
I don't know. I mean, who
People
decides
are not-
that? What do you all think about that?
I mean, with this, Nancy, is this for the bid? Because you're going to bid out, you're going to put this. I think 12 is a good number personally. I don't know everybody else.
I have no issue with 12.
Right, and
No issue with 12.
the other option is that neighbors share their construction. I'm sorry, their bulk pickup now, right? I've had plenty of residents say, "Well, I'll do it at my neighbor's because he has nothing out." So if they want the stickers to go to their neighbors, it's up to them, but they'll lose their stickers.
Mommy.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, one thing I think we discussed the last time, I don't remember the last time I used bulk pickup for anything. In 25 years I've been in this town, nearly 26, I think I might have used it. I can count it on one hand.
Sandy might have a different answer.
No, I would be one of those bulk item pickups though, if I bring home the 96-gallon can. Now, see my frustration.
Yeah. So Nancy, I mean, so are you getting nearer what you need for the bid?
Yeah. So, well, I guess the last question. So one of the last questions is, if you do the automated side loader, then there are specific cans that have to be used. There's an option where we could pay for the cans up front and we own them, or they charge more in the bid. I mean, that could be alternates too, to find out what the difference is in cost. If we don't buy them, then the garbage company owns them, and at the end of 5 years or whenever the contract is, they take the cans with them. So I could include that too, the cost of the cans, because this is going to be a really big bid. And then so do you want me to bid out? Because I'm pretty sure you can do this. Jack, I don't know if you know for sure. If I bid out privatized collection for the whole town, I mean, I'm not even sure the wording of that, but I'm pretty sure that it's been done elsewhere. So
I'm not aware of that.
No? Where you have one carrier for the whole town bid out for the lowest monthly fee?
I'm not aware of any towns doing that. There may be a way to do it though. But the contract would be with the town and the residents would have to use that carrier and pay for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, if it's possible, I don't know if you want me to look into it or you just want me to go with the traditional, collection.
I mean, I know our residents like to go along with everything that we say. So that's the one problem I see with that particular solution. I mean, I think the first two options I would say no to. We move forward with bidding on this one, but I don't know how everybody else feels.
Well, and the other option that I didn't talk about was that was just a way to try to get the cost lower monthly. But the option that we initially touched on was you completely privatize and everybody goes out on their own.
Right, but
that's where it's a close savings depending on what you pay in taxes.
Right.
It's a break even for a lot of people.
So, Vic, I don't know what your thoughts are on the first two options. The privatization versus versus what we have right now.
I do want a point of a clarification here. I'm hearing a cost of $25 per month. So if we went with choice number 2, the cost for the cost per home in Long Hill Township would be $25 a month for garbage removal. Is that what I'm hearing?
I said that I think that 25 would be the lowest if I was able to bid it out and have one contractor have.
Let's say it's 30.
30's more.
Okay, let's say it's $30 a month. What would my savings be on what would the average savings be on one's taxes? $30 a month?
No, actually that's what I'm saying. It depends on what you pay in taxes, but for the 500, the average $500,000 house, I mean, it was close, it was close. It was close. That I think I asked the CFO to use $33 a month. I just picked that because I knew that's what I paid, and the break even was it was close for the $500,000 house.
And it
wouldn't be a savings. It wouldn't be a savings for half the town, and it would be a savings for the other half.
Okay. Personally, I'm leaning towards choice number 3. I think ultimately that's going to be the wave of the future. Despite the lack of all those injured workers coming into my office for their back pain, I believe sincerely that that's the wave of the future. What I would like to know though, if we could get a realistic number, approximately a ballpark figure as to what the savings would be for us because of it taking 20 seconds less per house. What those actual costs savings would be. I'd like to have an idea. But I'm towards number 3.
Well, that's what I'm asking, because I'm not asking you to make any decisions now on which one you want to pick. I'm just asking which way you want me to, are you okay with me bidding it that way? Because the only way you're going to be able to decide is I bid it both ways. Bid it automated and bid it manual. Bid it with recycling, without, so that all of those things can be compared.
If you could do that, that would be great. I think that would give us what we need to make the proper decision.
Okay, great.
What do you guys think?
Matt, any thoughts?
Been a proponent for people getting it themselves for years after the last debate where people wanted more garbage pickup than they'll ever need. And I'm saying, well, if you want more, then you can pick it out yourself and go from there. If you want it 3 times a week, you can have it 3 times a week. If you want it once a week like me, you can get it once a week. I mean, Nancy gets it twice a week and it's $33. So I'm guessing if I got it once a week, it'd probably be under $30, but I don't know that for sure. As for the other option, I'm all for the automated system. I even spoke to Dontel, the garbage collector. He stopped me the other day when I was walking the dog last week and asked me if we talked about it. I said no, and I asked him why. And he said, please, if you guys can, go to the automated system. He goes, us, if the collectors like that better because there's less wear and tear on their body and it's faster for them. So even before Dontel had that conversation with me, I was always leaning towards the self pickup or the automated. That's how I voted last time as well.
Yeah.
So that's right. And as to recycling, I know Republic, just based on our conversations in public with them last year, have no interest in doing recycling anymore. So I'd imagine their bid for that is going to be extremely high. So it might have to end up going to the county anyway.
But just so I'm clear, Nancy, you could put both out there, right? Just to get some comp, go out to bid, and we could still choose option 2. Right?
You mean the privatized one?
Right.
I guess I'll look into it. I'll talk to Jack. I'll talk to Randy. I was under the impression that you could do that for the whole town. So I'll just have to look into that more.
Right. I think we have to go out to bid just so we have something to compare it to. And again, I'll mention the idea. If I remember correctly, the vote last time failed 3-2 to go to the automated. And my vote was heavily influenced by the lack of choice of the garbage can, size of the garbage can. So to me, I think you can get it to where the automated is the choice. So I'm leaning that way without anything that I can compare it to.
Okay.
So Nancy, you have enough from us to move forward?
Yep, to write the biggest bid I've ever written. As many alternatives as I can come up with.
Oh, you're just an amateur. Years ago, days of yore, we had a bid that went out with 17 options. Even
This
Cornell,
one will probably come close, right?
even Cornell couldn't have solved that one with a spreadsheet.
And that wasn't counting the subparts.
So,
No, I have everything. Thank you.
thanks, Nancy.
I have one quick question, just one more to go back to the garbage. I know on option number 2, I found it intriguing when Nancy said that the pickup may be made right by your house and residents wouldn't necessarily have to drag their cans up into the street. Is that a realistic possibility? I just think it's something to consider. There's a lot of long driveways and people that may struggle bringing those cans, to the curb. I just think it's something. It's a plus to consider. I'm still leaning towards option number 3. Mm-hmm. Is that realistic? Or is Guy correct that that's not going to happen? If you go with option 2, there's no way that they're going to come and grab it by your garage door.
No, I apologize if I misspoke there. What I said is I don't think it's prudent for a Longfield Township resident to leave their garbage cans outside.
Got it.
Because of the animals, raccoons and bears.
But
Lions and tigers too.
So they could but if they wanted to, they could take it out of their garage and put it right outside the garage door rather than walking it up to the curb. Correct?
Okay, so Nancy, you'll look into that and right.
I will. I don't know if that's something that you can bid for a garbage company out, but I'll look into it. It's definitely an option with the privatization, but I'll look into it for the the general bid as well.
Okay. Thanks, Nancy.
Yeah.
Do you have any old business? Any new business?
We did have the one, the Sterling Street Fair.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Dennis had asked us about the potential of a Sterling Street Fair. Had been cancelled in April. He's moved it. He would like to move it to September 6th. Is that right, Nancy?
Yes.
And this would be to lock in a date with the vendor. And the question from Dennis was, is that a date that we would all, we could all potentially agree to? The plus, we know it's going to be a day of sunshine, so it's something we can plan around. But I mean, I don't think I have any problems with September 6th.
No,
There's nothing else going on in town.
with the vendor, and I'd have to ask Dennis, it obviously would have to be contingent on the state allowing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't want anybody to lose money because they reserved and.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think right now he has to make some decisions, and so
Sure.
Vic,
I
you're
agree.
okay? Matt?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So I'd like to appoint Scott Lavender to a 3-year term to the Communications Advisory Committee. His term would expire on the 10th of June, 2023. And so is that something we all have to agree to, Nancy, or is that a mayoral?
Jack, I think it's a mayor appointment, right? Wait.
It's a township committee appointment.
It's a township committee appointment. So I think no matter whether it's mayor or township committee, I think we would all be in agreement to appoint Scott to the Communications Advisory Committee. So,
Absolutely.
okay,
Yes.
great. He's appointed.
Mayor, if I could interrupt you for 1 second. I didn't know you were going to leave new business, but we did have that one permit fee that you were going to talk about.
Oh, for the
Restaurant?
for the restaurants, for the outdoor dining.
Yeah.
So as you know, tonight, we relaxed the enforcement of a lot of our ordinances so that the businesses in the town would be able to expand their outdoor dining services. As a result of that, there's an inspection. I believe it's a fire inspection.
There could be various inspections depending on what they need. And for example, if they need tents, there would be a fire inspection.
Right. And that fire inspection would be not the fire inspection, but the tent permit would be $54. And then there would also be fees associated with the fire, if a fire inspection, if that was needed to be done, and maybe even construction or electrical, depending on the extent of the outdoor dining facilities. And I think the question for us is, are we willing to waive those fees at this time in order to make it at least financially easier for the businesses in town to expand into the outdoor dining?
What is it's fire inspection fee if he has to go out?
It would be $54.
So all the fees are $54?
No, they're not all $54. I mean, I guess they vary, but that's the only one we've come up so far is the fees for the tent.
Wait, so the fees to put up a tent or for the fire inspector to inspect the tent?
For the fire inspector to inspect
For the
the
inspection.
tent.
Okay.
They call it a permit fee, but you're really paying for the inspection is what you're paying for. The inspection is still going to happen. It's just that we're asking you to consider waiving the fees considering, the circumstances.
And really, we're talking about maybe 10 businesses in town. Is that 10, 11 businesses?
Yeah, there were 11 and they're not all going to have tents. So.
Right. So the actual loss to the various departments and inspection fees is probably minimal.
It is.
Wouldn't have had that income anyway, because aside from the hotel, nobody else has a tent that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
No, there are places, and actually the mayor has a list of restaurants that have told us that they'd be doing outdoor dining. And
No, my question was, aside from the hotel, in normal times, they're the one with the tent. So in reality, the town would inspect that anyway. So really, the town's losing $54 from normal income anyway. Because, like, say, Cilento doesn't have a tent, Anacona doesn't have a tent.
No, but this is for the outdoor dining. Like,
no.
oh, right. And so Chimney Rock's going to have a tent, and the diner's going to have a tent. So those kinds of things. But the restaurants have taken such a hit, during the past several months anyway. It just seems like to ask them to spend $54 to have their tent inspected doesn't really seem like a good idea.
I agree.
So, I mean, I think Guy, Vic, where do you come down on it? Are you okay with waiving the permit, the various fees that we would normally charge to help the? Okay, Vic.
You ought to do it by motion then, just so it's formal.
I am.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to waive the permit
Guy,
fees.
a motion to waive the permit fee.
Okay.
Committeeman Dorsey,
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pasurcia,
Yes.
Mayor Ray.
Yes. Okay, so we can move on then to announcements. Let's see, the census we should still pay attention to filling out the census, and as the importance that that has to every area. I talked a little bit about the importance of voting, and this year in the primary, which will be held on July 7th, we will have vote by mail. The ballots will be mailed out beginning June 15th, 2020. They'll be sent to all registered Republicans and Democrats automatically. Unaffiliated voters or inactive Republican and Democrat voters will receive a vote by mail application, and so they should fill that out by June 30th and send it in. There will be the main thrust of the voting will be voting by mail, but here in Long Hill Township, we will have a polling station, and Megan, that will be located
In the atrium of Town Hall.
So please remember the deadline to register to vote is June 16th. So please get out and register yourself to vote if you haven't done already. And please go to the Long Hill Township webpage at www.longhillnj.gov for information on the voting by mail. It's something that's happened obviously in the past, but not to the extent that it is right now. And there's a lot of good information on that FAQ, and also any questions after that, please contact Megan or clerk. So Nancy had mentioned this. I have a list here of restaurants that are going to be offering outdoor dining. And Nancy, these are going to be on the web page as well. We're going to list these on the web page.
When we have a finalized list, hopefully tomorrow, the next day. Right now we have 11. I sent out I contacted, I believe it was 22 businesses that 22 food establishments, and I heard back from 11 that they would be doing it. I haven't heard from the other 11, so I just want to give them another couple days because they're going to need to fill out that application. And when we have the full list, we'll put it on our website and on Facebook with the hours that they'll be open.
Okay. Thank you for providing the list of restaurants, and what I'll do is I'll read them out right now. 12 Islands Greek Taverna, Monday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 9 will be outdoor. The Sterling House Diner is opening Monday through Sunday, and that's 8 till 10. Bar Salento, Monday 3 to 10, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday 11 to 11, and then Sunday 11 to 10. We also have Dunkin' Donuts from 6 to 8. That's 7 days a week, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Burger King as well. We have the Millington Cafe right here just down the road from me, Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then on Sundays, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Sterling Hotel is Tuesday through Sunday from noon until 8 p.m. They're closed on Mondays,
Except this Monday.
except this Monday, June 15th. Primavera, Monday through Thursday, 4 to 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 4 to 9 p.m. and Sunday, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Biagio's is beginning on June 17th, and that's Wednesday through Saturday for dinner from 5 p.m. until 9. Chimney Rock is from 11:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. and that's 7 days a week. So I'm very happy to be able to read out that list of restaurants that are beginning to open again. It'll be good to be able to go back out and enjoy some of their offerings again. They've been sorely missed. So last but not least, I would like to congratulate Mr. Dennis Sandow for his 20-year anniversary of volunteering in Long Hill Township. I thought it was much longer. He seems to be always have been synonymous with the township, and so I'm surprised it's only 20 years. But Dennis has had a great career here as a volunteer. He was the webmaster from 2000 to 2003, and as a result of his efforts, we won the best municipal website in New Jersey. It was offered by the New Jersey League of Municipalities. He's created photo pages for the town calendar from 2002 to 2004. He was a member of the Promotion and Enhancement Committee. He's been there since 2007, and thanks to his efforts, he replaced the old "Welcome to Long Hill" signs. Historic Preservation Society also there. He was instrumental in issuing the bid specifications for the rehab contract at the Millington Schoolhouse, one of our jewels right here in Millington. He's been a member of the Communications Advisory Committee, and he authored the LHTV Procedures Handbook. He's been a great colleague to me, certainly over the last couple of years on the master plan on the planning board. He is a repository of all information that's Long Hill, and it's been one of the highlights of my time on the committee and on the school board. It's been one of my highlights, being able to work with Dennis, and so I thank him very much for his many years, and I look forward to many more in the future. So with that, if there are any more announcements, if there aren't any other announcements, I will open it up to the public for questions and remarks pertaining to any matter.
So Dennis has his hand raised, so he's first. Go ahead, Dennis.
I want to thank the mayor and point out that he missed the 6 years that I spent on the library.
Sorry, Dennis. There've been so many appointments.
I go where I have to go. The only thing I haven't done is served on the first aid squad or the fire companies. I leave that to healthier people. I have a little list here of 4 items. If you'll bear with me, I'll try to get through them quickly. First of all, I want to thank you for approving the street fair. Obviously, we're going to have all the permits reissued, and I will suggest to all the entities that have to issue us permits that we will, of course, do whatever we have to, depending on the state regs at the time. This will be early in the street fair season. My guess is that most of the July street fairs will wind up being canceled. There are no street fairs in August because of the heat. So all the street fairs that had been scheduled in March, April, May, and June will have to be crammed into about 6 or 7 weekends in September and October. So I'm glad we can get our oar in the water very early in that rescheduling process. Second item, Guy, with respect to the virus testing at the county, you were correct. It is very easy to find the scheduling webpage by going through the town's COVID-19 webpage. You get to the county easily, you get to the scheduling easily. The problem is when you get there, you find that they only take appointments 2 days in advance. So as of tonight, they're only taking appointments for Thursday and Friday, and they are only giving the tests 9 to noon on 15-minute headway. So there are only 8 slots available as of Friday. I suppose if you log on early Thursday morning, they will have opened up scheduling for Monday. And remember, there are 2 counties involved in this, both Morris and Sussex. So you've got to get your oar in the water early in the morning.
Thank you, Dennis.
With regard to the fire inspection fee, your resolution that you threw together ad hoc a few minutes ago talked about waiving the permit fee. That might be an inspection fee rather than a permit fee. I'm not sure. And finally, garbage. If you check your email, you'll find a message on garbage that I sent a few minutes ago. When this came up 5 years ago, I had some numbers. I don't have them right away, but I will recreate them and send them to you. But half the streets in Long Hill, half the named streets in Long Hill are either dead ends or cul-de-sacs. And the problem with the automated pickup is safety. You can only pick up one side of the street at a time. So if it's a dead end, you have to go down one side of the street, back out, turn around, back in, and then do the other side of the street. So you have 2 backings the length of the street. The longest dead end in town is 4/10 of a mile, and that's a lot of backing up. Whereas with the current garbage collection manual, a dead end, you only have to back out once because they do both sides of the street on their way in. With regard to the cul-de-sacs, the automated pickup truck can't get close enough to the curb as he goes around the end of the cul-de-sac. So they're going to have to go out and manually handle all the streets or all the houses on the end of the cul-de-sac. I put the numbers together and read them into the record about 5 years ago. The automated is fine if you only visualize the main streets. The other issue would be, of course, on narrow highways such as Long Hill Road, he's going to have to make the transit twice. Right now, he only makes the transit once and collects both sides at the same time. But with the automated system, he'd have to go from one end to the other, turn around, and come back. I think automated is a bad idea in our town. then I ask you to consider that factor. Otherwise, once again, Mayor, thank you for recognizing that 20 years ago, I went to Town Hall, Old Town Hall, and said, hey, can I help? And unfortunately, that may have been one of the bigger mistakes of my life.
Thank you, Dennis. And that was our gain when you did that.
Hi, Mayor. We have Julia and Dana Duryea. Okay, you're on the air.
Hi, sorry, I'm Dana Duryea, my daughter's Julia. I have it that way for our school Zoom meetings. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I want to thank you for taking the time tonight to be here. And like I said, my name is Dana Duryea. I've been a Long Hill resident for the last 14 years, and I grew up in Morris County. I would just like to take a quick moment to read an excerpt that's right off your township website about the history of Long Hill. In 1992, the community changed its name to Long Hill Township, and today, despite commercial and suburban development, Long Hill has many historic structures, ranging from 18th century farmhouses to the 21st century September 11th monument. They remind us of Long Hill's legacy as a place of villages, farms, mills, and factories, where working men and women of many nationalities contributed to the development of our nation. This past weekend, I would like to let you know that our township gained 2 temporary monuments ready to talk. The first spanned the majority of the quarter-mile-long walking path at Matthew G. Cantor Memorial Park, and the second was the entire block in front of St. Vincent's Church. These chalk messages were written by families, including myself and my 10-year-old daughter, Julia, who wished to end white silence and eradicate the racism happening right here in Long Hill. Along with a few residents, I helped organize this in response to George Floyd's death, because unlike surrounding towns, Long Hill had not responded until the comments that were made earlier tonight. George Floyd's death gave me the opportunity to deepen conversations and strengthen the lessons I have taught my daughter about white privilege and systemic racism, as well as the role that we play in perpetuating it. I feel that white silence is white violence, and at this very critical moment in time, I need to speak and bring this to your attention, because we can't pretend this doesn't affect our town. We don't live in a bubble here in Long Hill. We're not immune. Talking messages of hope and love and support with a peaceful, beautiful way that involved the youngest and most vulnerable and most impressionable residents, including my daughter. I spoke to residents on Saturday who came for their walk, who were unaware that this was happening, and they were inspired by the messages written. They stopped in their tracks and they questioned their own implicit biases. Some were moved to tears, others thanked us from the bottom of their hearts, and others hoped this was done earlier. I ask you tonight as our town's leaders, where do you stand on this issue? And what do you plan to do about it? Because when our chalk messages wash away, will the conversation end at the government level? I commend you for having created a way out task force in response to the opioid crisis. It's clear you want to help residents with addiction. And you mentioned tonight all that's been done for senior citizens in town. And I appreciate that, and I'm sure they do too. But tonight, I ask you to pass a resolution condemning the murder of George Floyd. I urge you to create a diversity and inclusion committee in Long Hill. I ask you to commit to examining all governing bodies for bias and engage all institutions in an effort to educate and eradicate racism in Long Hill, whether it be personal, prejudice, or systemic. Please, when our chalk messages wash away, let's replace them. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. And Julia.
Thank you.
Mayor, Al Gallo would like to talk. Go ahead,
Very
Al.
good.
Al, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. So getting back to Dennis's garbage issue, that is not the case, cul-de-sac or non-cul-de-sac. The driver still has to get out of the vehicle. The only difference is he's wheeling it over to the system if he needs to. Sometimes he can stay in the truck, sometimes he can't. But he's not physically lifting the can. He's just towing it to the front of the bucket. The arm grabs it, dumps it. So he's going to have to get out of the truck every once in a while. But as far as cul-de-sac is not picking up garbage, it's the proper way to do garbage, and it is the future of garbage pickup. That's all. I just want to stress that that concern from Dennis.
I have a question, Al.
Yes.
Dennis mentioned Valley Road and the busier streets. Rather than making one pass and doing both sides, that the garbage truck would have to do one side of the street and then the other side of the street. And I fear that that could be a traffic related issue. Is that true, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, if you talk to Dontel, he's doing that now on the main streets because he's not taking a chance of crossing the Valley Road to grab. So he is actually doing that now on the main streets, going up one side and coming back the other way. So that's not going to affect it.
Thank you.
Yes, no problem.
Al, do you have anything else?
That was it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Mayor, we have Elizabeth. Elizabeth, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I have lived in Morris County for 44 years, between Dover, Denville, and Parsippany. And I chose Long Hill 12 years ago to raise our family here. So please understand, if race is an issue, let's listen to our community. And I will be honest, I'm scared of retaliation. So please hear my cry. Please, we are only human, making the same mistakes. I only ask you all to listen with the intent of understanding, not with opinion or response. If you can just see the pain and fear we are facing and empathize, please empathize. The only way I can articulate this through stopping for a moment, humble, or humor me for 1 second, please. Just play pretend. George Floyd is your son, not struggling to save his own life. Is there anyone on this panel that would not struggle to save your own life? Instead, George cried to his deceased mother for help. He did not struggle. He laid on the street for his own daughter to see him crying for the world to see. But this has been pain long before George. I will tell you firsthand that I have already lost a daughter to death at 20 years old due to a macro level issue of injustice. And it's so painful. I ask, can you feel my words? And yes, this is due to a macro level of injustice. But we are here to talk on a micro level. Can you please understand and put on your educated thinking hats on to support our long, quote unquote, Long Hill Strong Township with compassion and love with the minority residents? Now, the shining light for me and what is now empowering to me as a white woman, and I, having a white man as a father, as a teacher, I was taught all are equal in this world. We need to respect human lives. It starts with compassion and empathy. If we don't have diversity and inclusion council within this community, and we refuse to see the human lives in your community, do I run? Question mark. Because I'm thinking about that. Where do I go? I ask all of you to help educate me on where we go from here. Even as an educated white person that works for a very large, influential company supporting me within our community, should I count on them more than where I live? This is a company that lives and works in Warren, guys. I have been more awakened as a white person in the last week than I have in 44 years. I plan to sit back and just observe how this works. But even though I am terrified of retaliation to my own words and my life and my family, I'm committed to say something. Would you like us out of your community? We will leave. Please tell me. I don't have the answer. I have been doing this for 20, 30 years as a mom. You talk about realizing frustration from COVID for the last 3 months. There is 450 years of frustration. You talk about welcome to Long Hill sign. You talk about garbage cans. P.S. Do you know the person that picks up your garbage? We do. Your frustration on that issue. Well, guess what? We feel like garbage. So make a gallon that fits our bodies. Please, respectfully consider that. I beg of everyone to swallow your pride, mistakes and all. We are humans. We all make mistakes. But a member of this community, I cannot have another restless night to protect my family. With that said, my 10-year-old encouraged me to be brave enough and do what's right. If he can see that, what will you do for us? I thank you in advance for your time.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? I don't see anyone, Mayor.
Okay, if there aren't any other comments, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good evening,
Good
everyone.
night, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
God bless Long
Good
Hill.
night.